Hi there, it's Susie McGaughey with another idea for how you and your family can be creative this summer. And it is the month of August, and in the month of August, most of us are thinking about heading back to school. You know, this year, school's going to be very different for everyone, no matter how you're going back, whether you're going back in person or you are spending more time learning in front of a computer at home. And with the start of any school year, especially one that feels a little bit different and uncertain as this year does, you might be experiencing some feelings of nervousness, maybe a little bit of worry and uncertainty, possibly also mixed with feelings of excitement and some happiness about returning. But in short, you might have a lot going on in your mind. So this month, I wanted to offer you a way to make art that might actually help to calm your busy mind and help you to relax into the new school year. You might even find that this way of making art actually helps you to be able to focus better and maybe will help you to sit longer at your computer or to pay better attention or to take little breaks in between things. Doodling is a habit that a lot of people have. Maybe it's something that you already do. A lot of kids do this and adults too. And oftentimes doodling helps us to pass the time when we're bored or to help us to keep focused when we're at a long meeting. And actually doodling is helpful because it helps to keep our brain active, which then helps us to maybe listen a little bit better and focus a little better. So the doodling that I'm going to show you today is a specific kind that's called Zentangle. And this is a way of doodling that involves filling up simple shapes with patterns and designs and drawing without a plan, kind of like you do when you doodle, and just making marks as you go. It's called Zentangle because of the two words, Zen and tangle. Zen means that it's a little bit like meditating while drawing. You're kind of zenned out. And using patterns is the tangle part. Patterns and designs mean tangles. So the materials that you're going to need to make a Zentangle are pretty simple. You'll want to have some drawing paper of any kind, maybe a pair of scissors because you might want to cut your drawing paper a little bit smaller, and I'll show you that in a second. You'll want to have a pencil, just for a little bit of it, but your main tool is going to be a marker, a black marker. Ideally, you want to have something that's got kind of a fine tip on the end, maybe even sharper than this. So a super fine tipped Sharpie would be great. A fine tip Sharpie is also good. Or if you don't have those, maybe just like a skinny marker to get you started. And that's it. Except you might want to also have some coloring material on hand. So that could be colored pencils or markers, or even crayons could work. You may want to add a little color when you're done tangling. So let's get started. I want to show you what a Zentangle looks like. So, like I said, it's just a series of shapes filled up with designs and patterns made with a black marker. There's no really right or wrong way to Zentangle, but I believe that's true of any art form, but especially when you're doodling like this. But I am going to show you a couple of different ways to get started. And if you like this way of making art, there are a ton of videos and images online that you can look at to give you different ideas of ways to create Zentangles and all different kinds of patterns that you can start practicing to fill in your different sections. So I'm going to get you started with a small square piece of paper. This one is cut into 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So if you want to start with a small, real manageable size, you could cut your paper into a square like this, and then we'll get started. So you want to start by, and again, there's different ways to get started. This is just one idea, making little dots in each of the 4 corners of your square, and then connecting those dots. So this is a chance for you to take a breath, not worry about things being perfect, and just try to draw lines that connect your dots. They don't have to be perfectly straight. They're not going to be perfectly straight. Don't try to use a ruler or a straight edge. Just allow yourself to connect the dots in whatever way your lines turn out. Then I'm going to set that pencil like I did to the side. Let's get out our black fine tip marker. And we'll go over those lines. See, mine are not perfectly straight. There is no perfect when it comes to making art. Okay, now I'm ready to begin. So it's just a series of making some shapes and designs, right? So you want to start somewhere and just allow yourself to move your marker however feels good to start dividing up that square into shapes. They can be curvy lines and they can be straight lines. And you are just adding sections, almost like a puzzle, to then start tangling, adding patterns. So I'm going to start wherever it feels right or good to me, and I'm just going to start making a pattern. I think I'll start with some half circles in this section. I'm just going to move around, enjoying sort of the repetitive mark making that I use to fill up this section. I think it seems like it'd be kind of fun to add maybe some dots in some of those sections. Maybe not all of them, just whatever feels right. Maybe a tiny dot in a couple too. Okay, and then I'm ready to move on to another section. Over here, I really feel like I want to make some straight lines coming from the corner. That feels good to me. I think that I might color 2 of them in, just because. All right, and then I just keep moving around my paper. I might even decide I want to divide up one of my sections a little bit more and continue to add whatever designs feel right and good to me. Again, knowing that there's no right or wrong way. If I happen to make what I would consider a mistake in a section, instead of tossing it to the side or trying to go over it, erase it, or something like that, you can't erase with marker. That's why we're using it. We're instead going to make it work. So maybe I feel like I made a mistake somewhere over here. I went kind of out of my lines a little bit. So instead of seeing it as a mistake, I'm going to see it as an opportunity to kind of alter my design. So I'm going to go over the edges where I went over too far into the next section. I'm just going to make them even thicker. And that's going to just be part of my Zentangle. Okay. So you just keep moving around and around your design like that, adding patterns to every single section. If you don't want to work on a small piece like this, maybe you don't have real skinny markers, maybe you have regular size markers, you might be better served by working on a large piece of paper, but working in the same way. So you can make dots in your corners, the pencil, connect your dots. This time I'm going to intentionally make my edges wavy because it's art, and that seems kind of fun to me. Then again, going over it with my black marker. This would also be a good idea if you are feeling like you don't want to spend a lot of time making real large or real small, patterns. You want to work a little bit bigger than that, then a big size paper might be better for you. And again, just trusting your instincts, taking your line all along the inside to make curvy and straight shapes. And then just like with the small piece, you're just going to move section by section, adding different patterns and designs. At the end of this video, I'm going to put up some examples of some cool patterns to get started with. Another idea, besides just making squares, you can use any shape to Zentangle with. I'm going to show you what I did earlier. I used circles. I used a hockey puck that I found in my kids' room, and I first just traced the hockey puck all over the paper, purposely overlapping different sections, because that adds some neat little sections then for me to tangle in between. So you could use circles, you could use a heart, some simple shape that you then divide up and tangle inside. Another fun way to create a Zentangle would be to trace your hand. So you see I traced my hand in pencil, then I went over it with marker and I divided my hand up into different sections, and let me show you real quickly an example of a finished Zentangle hand. There we go. So that is a very cool Zentangled hand to inspire you. Okay, so however you want to go about getting started with the Zentangle, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Challenge yourself to remember to use mistakes as part of your design, and have at it. When you're finished with the black marker, you might decide that you want to add a little bit of color to your Zentangle. I like to think about adding color and lightness to dark places. That's sort of a nice thing to think about, adding light to the dark. So I'm going to use my color pencils to do that, and I'll show you down here. Again, just trusting your instincts about where you might want to add a little bit of color. Just go for it. It's nice having used the black marker first, because it's kind of like a coloring page where you can color and go over your lines. And the black really kind of hides any coloring that happens over the lines. All right. So again, not knowing exactly what needs color, just sort of trusting as you go where you want to put the color and just going for it. You could fill up a whole design that way if you wanted to. All right, so I want you to try your hand at Zentangling today. Really challenge yourself, like I said, to play with mistakes, play around with different designs and patterns, and don't worry about getting it perfect. Just try to relax and have fun. That's the Zen part of Zentangles. So, and if you enjoy Zentangling, try to have some paper and some markers at the ready at your desk or at your computer so that you can doodle away during any breaks that you might have, or when you feel like you just need to focus and listen a little more closely. See if it helps. I hope you have a great start to the school year, however you may be starting, and that you find lots of ways to use your creativity to help keep you engaged, to help keep you calm, and to help you to have a great start to the school year. Hang on for another couple of minutes if you want to see some great examples of patterns to try. And like I said, have fun and stay safe and stay creative. See you next time. Bye.